I'm Bob Drost. I'm the owner of Drost Landscape of 31 years. I believe that's right. We debate that question back and forth, but 1991, I was 30 years old and I'm 61. So this is our 31st year, and it's been quite a ride. So it was funny that when I got into the trade, we weren't supposed to show up at the shop until 8 o'clock. This is the first company I worked for in Charlevoix. And this was 1980. And I made it all the way through the whole summer without getting cut. And I did it by just being the best worker. You know, I didn't know much about the landscape trade. I just would go home at night and say, man, that Bill Simon's a great worker. Tomorrow, I'm gonna bust my butt and outwork Bill. I'm just gonna prove that I can outwork Bill. So I would come in at 7 o'clock instead of 8 o'clock, and I would ask him, I said, you don't have to pay me, I just wanna work out in the nursery. I'll hoe, I'll pull weeds. And so I would look at the tags on the plant material, and I started learning the plants. And for a guy that never liked being in any of the church plays, you know, or in the school plays, just because you had to learn lines, I hated that. I could not remember those stupid lines. I mean, I couldn't remember from one minute to the next. But for some reason, the Latin terms of plant material, maybe because it's backwards, makes total sense to me. So last year at this time, this was just chaos. And so to see it today, well, that's what it's all about right there. That is just the person that put out, you know, that designed the plantings, they knew exactly what they're doing. We've got the Nepeta flowering down there. We've got the foliage of the Grollo sumac, which will give us a beautiful fall color. In the background, we've got the bottlebrush buckeye. You can see the little stalk sticking up. That's getting ready to flower. In the foreground here, just behind the birch, is Ligularia, golden rockets. And so that'll start to flower. Then we got the all summer beauty hydrangea, and then the junipers in the foreground. And yeah, just a beautiful, beautiful ensemble. My dad was a carpet layer for a company in Charlevoix called Hess Furniture, and he would work all day long booting carpet for Hess Furniture, and then he would do it at night for individuals, and just so that we could get by. And he did a good job. So there was no background of landscaping in my family, other than my grandpa Ben raised one heck of a garden. The guy he was just a gardening guru. So the very first days of Drost Landscape, I would say, were adventurous. There were so many things that I thought I knew that I didn't know. Just one quick story. I can remember the company was probably 5 years old, maybe not that old yet, but we had hired a real craftsman by the name of William Kibler, and he was doing a job for us in the Narrows on Lake Charlevoix. William called back to the shop, probably with a radio. I don't think we had cell phones yet, and said, "Where do you want me to work?" What do you mean? Where do we want you to work? You're working at the Woodrick site. He said, "No. Some guy showed up by the name of Barry Wood and shut us down." "For what?" He says, "You're working in the green belt." I said, "The green belt? What in the world's a green belt?" Well, I said that the first days of Drost were adventurous, And that was the start of my introduction to learning more about townships and rules and regulations. And now today, townships call me with questions about green belts and buffer zones and runoff and things of that nature. So that mistake caused me to learn and study, but it was always something like that.
Morning.
Morning.
Great. It smells good.
Man, those lilies over there smell awesome.
We've had a lot of fun at Drost. We, it started off in 1991. I was 30 years old, and it was myself and an older gentleman that grew up on Burt Lake. He was a car dealer. He was 30 years older than me, and he knew business, which I knew nothing about business, and that really was a salvation for me. And I knew my business, and so he says, "You go sell. You come up with these ideas. We'll build it, and I'll make sure bills are paid." And it was a great combination. We lasted together for 14 years, and in 14 years never had an argument. We were talking earlier about how Drost got started. And this really isn't the starting spot. The starting spot was on Howard Road. And we may get a chance to see that a little bit later. But I just want to show you the original building. And believe me, at the time I thought, what would we ever need more than that? So all the things you're seeing, paved parking lots and trees on berms, none of that existed. It was just dirt and the original building, and a whole lot of hope that, well, we couldn't drive from here to the where the greenhouses are because it was so wet to get between there. And there's more stories to go along with that. But I'll show you the original building. This building went and it took in that first window, not the second one, just the first window. But that, from this to there, was the original building. These were two big overhead doors, and this was so that we could bring equipment in to work on it, change oil, things of that nature, whatever the case would be. And so you had a mechanic area and then a little office. And I had a desk in the, like a drawing desk in the middle of that area. And in the morning, guys would line up all the way around me, and I'd say, "You're going here, you're going here, you're going here, and I'm going to be working over there." And by 9 o'clock, this place was a ghost town. Everybody was on a job site. We continue to grow every year. I believe if I was to guess, I would say the first year there was 5 of us. We know that for sure. And the next year, there was like 10 employees. I would be one of the 10. Then there was like 15 the next year. I was one of the 15, and and now of course we're up over 100 people. You always wonder what the success is and what made it work. So I love what I do. I love the work. I love building walls. I love planting. I love raking. I like to see the product come together. Once again, I would say what I've said every time we've done this: what more would we ever need than what we have today? But I'm thinking that as Drost continues to grow, which there's plans for growth, that we'll have to figure out how we build on or build up.
Well, thank you for spending the time and seeing what we've all developed at Drost. And I think that the key thing there is that we did. I may have been the original employee, but surround yourself with fantastic people like I've been very fortunate to have done is really the key. And working with my kids, and it's been great. Thank you.